Chilling, man. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. It's been a while. It's good to talk with you again.
Yeah, man. I'm excited, man. I like having these interviews because that means there's a fight coming up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and you got quite the weekend coming up here. You got a cornering a fight. So where's that happening?
Actually, I got two buddies fighting in Anchorage, Alaska. So we have so many fights going on at the gym, and all our coaches are just spread out. So some of us kind of step in and try to help out the rest of the team that has fights. So I got a buddy, his name's John Kuhneman, and then another one, his name is Tevin, and we're going out to Anchorage, Alaska, to go put on some fights. Bring home some wins. And just move on to the next. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting trip. I've never been to Alaska, so I don't know. That'll be a first time for me.
Yeah, yeah, that will be pretty interesting. When you said wings, I wasn't sure if you said wings or wins. I'm like, well, if you brought back wings, I think that'd be all right too.
Well, yeah. Well, wins, like winning comes first. So let's
Fair
just stick with that. Yeah, yeah.
That's good, man. And speaking on that, so you got a chance to. I just saw you recently went fishing with the wife and everything. You did some golfing. Did a little bit of vacay, or what's going on there?
Yeah, man. Man, we've had a lot going on this year. We need a getaway. And my wife, she has a aunt that lives out in uh, it's Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and so they have a lake house out there. So they have all the fun stuff over there. And so we went down there, we fished, we caught a ton of just smallmouth bass fish,
Yeah,
and
it looked like yeah.
yeah, it was a good time. We caught about 20 between me and her, and then rode the jet skis, rode the boat, and we played golf. It was fun too because like I love golf. Like golf is like one of my favorite sports to play, and she's starting to get into it. And so she played her first full 9 holes, and it was a good time, man. It was a good time.
It seems like one of those sports that you really can kind of shut your mind off and just focus on what you're doing. You're not worrying about work or fighting, et cetera, et cetera. You're just trying to get that ball in the hole.
I like it because I can still be competitive, but it's definitely like a low key. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've gone with people and they get crazy. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, like I'm not getting punched in the face right now. So like we can bring it down a little bit. I can enjoy myself. And I'm still competitive regardless if I'm with someone else or I'm with myself. So if I'm out playing with my wife, it doesn't matter, I'm not trying to play against her, I'm trying to play against myself. And I want to do as best as possible, of course, in anything we do. But that's just kind of like how I live my life. And it's really subtle. So I try to do it at least right before my either when I leave to a fight or the day before weigh-ins or whatever the case. I always like to go out and just go out there, relax, and just hit some balls and just like it almost takes my mind off of things because I want to do good, but it's so calm and I just really enjoy it. I do.
Well, it's good. That's kind of a really that's really good to hear. Yeah, and that's what my dad kind of explained is like when he's going out with the guys out on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. Yeah, like you're not so much like competitive. You're not competing so much against the other person. It's more competing against yourself. Can you get the lower score every single time you go out? So I mean, for my at least for my dad, it's a little bit different. Like he just wants to go out and just hit some balls, and he's not looking to compete against anyone. But that being said, so I know that you were just doing some very low key things, but like, does the UFC ever like get upset if like you try to go and take risks? Like if you're like pulling like a cowboy and you're like going out and doing some dangerous shit. I mean, do they kind of get a little like weary about that? Or do they keep on top of those kind of things?
I think in your contract, you're like kind of forbidden to do some of those things, or like you're not allowed to do them. And that kind of goes for most promotions. So it's like pretty much standard. I think we have Cowboys Cerrone to thank for that. But you're still gonna go do what you got to do. You got to know the risks and what's gonna happen. Like for me, I love to snowboard. That's the only thing I like about the winter. It's so I hate. I'm not too big on cold, so I'm like, if it's gonna be cold, let's go snowboard. So that's my getaway during the winter. I'm either training or I'm snowboarding, and my wife does that with me too. So we just get to go out and just enjoy ourselves doing that. But it can be dangerous. You know what I mean? So and it's me. So like I'm gonna try to just push the line, push the line, push the line until I keep falling until I get back up. And pray one day it doesn't really really hurt me. But a couple bumps, couple falls, they ain't gonna do anything to me. But you gotta be careful. Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, like I think it comes down to common sense. I think it's like if you got a fight booked, you're not gonna go out and you're not gonna go play fight with one of your buddies at a house party, right? Like you're not. Well, granted, you're in camp. You're not gonna want to be drinking and carrying on anyway to be making weight. But I mean, it comes down to common sense, I would think.
No, man, I like that you said that because that's honestly the truth. Because that even applies to when you are training. So like, you can go with these new guys that come into the gym or that they're trying to prove a point, and that's how you honestly get hurt. Like you don't really get hurt from the guys that you train with that you can trust. And there's a group of guys that I have that I trust and that will push me, that understand that I have a fight coming up. They understand that maybe I'm struggling from the weight cut. I mean, there's a group of guys that I know I can trust and I can count on. But like, yeah, these new guys, and it's just common sense. Like, don't go with these guys that are just trying to like, make a name off of you because you have some status or you're in the UFC or you've been there for a while. It's not smart. So like I do try to like be smart about how I train, have common sense, and it applies in the gym and outside the gym.
Mm-hmm. Now, before I talk about your upcoming fight, I just want your thoughts. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the Ciryl Gane versus Derek Lewis fight at all. Did you get a glimpse of that by any
You
chance?
know, you know what? Like, I'm not like no disrespect to anybody. I was not like super pumped about that. I don't know. I normally catch almost all of them. It was a pay-per-view, so I was like, and I have friends I can go to that put on the fights and stuff like that. I think that time, like that day, I was just want to spend time with my family, so I wasn't able to catch it.
Yeah, I don't think a whole lot of people were, but after watching what Ciryl Gane kind of, that's how you say his name, Ciryl Gane, really did to Derek Lewis, it really questions like, is this the guy to be Francis Ngannou? Like, is Francis Ngannou like going to be able to beat him? Like, I mean, your boy at the gym, Jon Jones. Like, I think that'd be a great fight. Him and Ciryl Gane. They're both. I think Jon Jones would be quite light enough to be able to move quick enough than a normal heavyweight.
I mean, I'm being kind of biased, but Jon Jones takes that fight like 9 times out of 10. Like that's my personal opinion. But
Ciryl Gane.
yeah, both. I mean, maybe not 9 times out of 10 with Ngannou. He's just a different type of scary, like a different type of fighter that like his power is like almost unmatched. I'm not saying that like Jon has doesn't have that or anything like that, but if I had to compare the two, like instead of 9 times out of 10, I'd probably give it more like 7 out of 10 with Jon. Jon's just so smart and his IQ is above the rest. And that's honestly what makes the Gane fight interesting to me. Because they both have very good fight IQ. And honestly, in a heavyweights aren't used to having that IQ because they're mainly reliant on their power. You know what I mean? And I think that's why Lewis did so well. It's your timing, it's your power, and I mean, how many times have you seen Lewis really kind of struggle and he just comes back last minute? I think he did against Volkov, and comes back with that third round, knockout, and you're never safe with people, especially in the heavyweight division. But to have the agility, the ability to take someone down, the ability to knock someone out, and the ability to put punches and strikes together like Gane and Jon Jones, that's a fight that like it might as well just be almost a light heavyweight bout. But you're seeing it in the heavyweights, and that's probably going to start being the new trend that you're going to see in the next 10 years.
Yeah, and to start off with Ciryl Gane, I mean, he's kind of the first heavyweight that's kind of has really displayed that kind of new wave of heavyweight fighters. I mean, of course, Stipe Miocic was more the leaner kind of guy in the heavyweights. Probably no disrespect to the other guys, but just obviously in the more better shape, and more that had more the agility. But I mean, you got Jon Jones that's going to be coming up. We're going to see what he's going to do. Obviously, a lot of people are excited what he's going to look like a heavyweight. And then you got guys like Tanner Boser, who also is a guy that's really coming up there through the rankings. Is also really, really quick. And there's just a lot of these good guys that have to look at this division think you can't rely on power anymore. You got to be able to go. You got to be good you got to be quick. And I think that's kind of that's a new recipe in that division.
It definitely is. It's like a new wave that you don't see typically in heavyweights. They're normally like out of shape and they're not like uh the best fit. Like the closest one that I saw that was like probably a scary one before Ngannou was maybe Overeem. Overeem was probably, this massive guy that looked just like a monster. And he was a monster. Like I'm not gonna take that away from him, but um he didn't show the athleticism the way that like maybe Jon Jones would. You know what I mean? Um, and I got to meet him personally. Like he trained at the gym for a while. It's just it is just my personal opinion. And I like I said, I'm probably being biased, but I also like I respect Jon Jones even before I knew who Jon Jones was. And I've had buddies and people that I trained with before. I like John was even a thing like, bro, this guy's the next champion. This was probably 2-3 years before he actually was. They just saw something in him. And then I started seeing him come on the scene. He started winning fights, and then, man, he just broke out. And I'm like, bro, this guy's so smart. And then, like, I hear from my coaches too that even watching like film and stuff like that can be torturous too, because he knows everybody that they're fighting, all their tendencies, all their habits, because he puts like all their fights on slow mo, and then he just watches them and he just like studies them, and he almost knows them better than they probably know themselves. And that's why I say like his IQ is through the roof. And they'll just sit there for hours, and he even has a theater room I think in his house that he does it, also just by himself. And he's so good at it. He's just so good at it.
Of course. Now, I do want to move on to your fight here. I want to move on to you here now. So, your fight with Charlie Ontiveros. What like are you kind of surprised the fact that like this guy he took a fight on short notice against trying to think middleweight. I mean,
Kevin Holland,
fighting at middleweight, and now he's dropping at lightweight. Like, is there any like thought to your mind thinking like how's this guy get cut down to lightweight? I understand that's probably where he was walking around at, but for him to cut from that to lightweight, I mean that's a bit of a cut there.
That's a bit of cut. I mean, I don't really know how to feel about that. I mean, people are like, oh, he's probably gonna come underweight or whatever, or come overweight, and I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. The bout agreement between both of us are at 55. I expect him to be there at 55, and if he's overweight, we'll figure it out. Hopefully, we'll still be able to have a fight or whatever the case is. I'm not gonna doubt him. I don't really know the guy. I don't know if he's ever missed weight before or whatever the case is. So that's a big cut. I don't know what he's walking around at right now. It's just, I'm actually moving up, to 55. And I've had to put on some size. I've had to put on some weight because I have to be able to handle this stuff. So I think it's not going to be an issue. So like, I'm not thinking too much about it, but I guess we'll see,
Yeah, I was supposed to have him on soon. I think I was trying to get him on today, same time with you. And then obviously just things haven't worked out. I understand, he's a fighter as well. He's got training and whatnot. But the last time I talked with him, he talked to me. He says, yeah, I'm going to drop down to 155. And I'm like, you just fought at 185 against Kevin Holland. You're going to drop down to lightweight? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And so it'll be interesting to see what he's going to be like at 155 because he looked really good at 185, in my opinion. So I like to see how he's going to do at 155 against you. I'm really excited for that fight. So looking at this fight with his style, how do you see this fight going down?
I think that his biggest attribute is his striking. So I'm assuming he wants to keep it on his feet. And I have no problem with that at all. You know what I mean? That's honestly my bread and butter, and I'm good with that too. This is mixed martial arts, so I guess we'll see what happens. I've taken people down. It just kind of the flow of the fight. That's kind of what it comes down to. It's just the flow of the fight. My coaches actually kind of just let me do what I want to do and what I feel in there, and I think that's why we've been so successful is because they trust me and I trust them. So if they feel like there's something that's not maybe working the way that we expect it to, or whatever the case is, then we start implementing, not necessarily a game plan, because we have our game plan already, but it's definitely like, all right, if this is not working, all right, we're gonna start looking for this, and it just kind of goes on from there. So if it stays up on its feet, then I'm good with that. If not, then we'll be on the floor. You can pick your poison with me. I don't really care. I'll hurt you on the ground, or I'll hurt you on your feet. It's really, it doesn't matter where it goes. I think at this level you have to be ready wherever you're at. It doesn't matter. You're in the UFC, like everybody's good everywhere. So hopefully he's feeling the same way.
And that's kind of the agenda that a lot of players bring up to me when I'm doing my interviews. It's like the common thing talking about going to your next fight is you got to be prepared for wherever it goes. I mean, you have some fighters out there that can rely on a certain strength. It could be he relies on his wrestling, but he just has that enough of that stand up where he's able to set up those takedowns. And after that, you're in his world. And I think there's very few fighters that are able to just um, implement that. I mean, you get Style Bender, who's able to just have himself on the feet. I think he can do some things off his back, but I mean, he's just able to control that distance so well that he doesn't have to worry about people taking him down.
Yeah,
But for a common fighter, I mean, you kind of have to be prepared for all situations because not everyone can just be able to do that.
sure.
And so it'll be interesting to see how this fight's going to go. I was quite surprised. I haven't looked at his stats, but he seems to be quite the taller fighter. Maybe
He's 6'2", I think. I think like that's kind of what he is, and then I'm 6 foot. Yeah. So he's not too much taller than me, but yeah, he's got 2 inches on me.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I have a longer reach than he does. I have a pretty long reach, but yeah, I just I don't care. I train with everybody from short to tall to stocky to like skinny to, it don't matter. I mean, I'm at Jackson Wink. We have pretty much every look that you need there, and so we're gonna be prepared. Yeah.
And that being said, that's good. I know that you had some fights falling out prior to that. I don't want to touch upon that too much, but how glad are you to finally have this fight, put it set in stone and you're ready to go and everything's all coming together?
Man, it's just been like so long. It's been just, man, it's a moment that I'm just waiting for. Like I was excited like when I could start camp, because like I've had 2 camps that already fallen through, and I want to say a lot of that's all figured out. It's not 100% figured out, but that's the whole reason why we moved up to 55, because I want to be able to do it safely. We've had a couple of health concerns, and I just want to make sure that like I'm doing what's best for myself, because I've done the sport for such a long time, and it's kind of catching up to me just a little bit, and I need to make sure that like no matter what, my family comes first, and even though I've been dedicating my whole life here, I need to make sure that I'm there for them, and so I want to make sure I'm doing it safely, and I believe in myself that I have the ability to move up to this 155 division and do well. So I'm excited. I'm not concerned, probably like as I probably would be maybe last year. This year I felt good about it. I just committed to it, and now I feel like we got all our momentum going in the right direction. So I'm happy. I'm excited too.
Good. That's good to hear. And I mean, like you're really going into a really good division. I mean, I think, excuse me, sorry, all the divisions are good now, but I mean, that lightweight division is really the big talk in the last little bit. I mean, you got a lot of those stat guys in that top 15, even top 30, if you want to really get real. How excited are you just being able to have a chance to fight with some of these really talented guys and be able to move up at those rankings?
Oh no, it's very exciting. Like in my opinion, that's murder's row. Like
Yeah.
you have I mean, you just have like the nastiest guys there. And I'm not trying to take anything away from any other divisions, because they have their own different type of nasty. You know what I mean? They're all really, really good. And it doesn't really matter. 35 is booming, 45 is booming, 55 is booming. It just all these ones are really, really good to watch. So I'm excited to be able to compete in this one particularly. and I just really get to test my competitiveness, see where I'm at, see, what I can bring to the table, because I know I got a lot to bring to the table. So to be able to apply it, that's definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of movement going around in that lightweight division. I think like Connor went up to rank 7 now. Like I think he's in number 7 spot or number 8 spot. I mean, Tony's going up there too. I mean, I don't know. I'm not too sure what's going to happen with Tony there, whether he's going to retire or if he's going to fight again. I'm not sure. You got Chandler in the mix. You got obviously, you got the champ there. You got Dustin, who hopefully will get that title shot. Thank God. You got a lot of good guys thrown in the mix there. So I think like that division is just going to continue to develop. With some of the guys retiring, depending on what's going to happen with Connor there, what they're deciding to do with him, there's going to be a lot of movement, I find. And I'm just excited to see what they're going to do with a lot of the rankings. And I guess I wanted your quick opinion before I let you go. So that whole thing with Connor and Dustin, do you think they're going to do that another fight there, or do you think that's dead in the water?
My opinion, it should be dead in the water, but if Conor McGregor and Dana White even kind of like talked about it, that it was kind of just like not a true finish to their trilogy or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling if they want to make it, if Dustin really wants it, if he wants another payday and Conor wants some revenge, then yeah, they're gonna make it. So do I feel like Dustin needs to prove himself anymore? No, I don't. I honestly don't. I think Dustin's almost just like not necessarily toying with him, but now like he's at this like mode to where it don't matter who's in front of him, like he's literally gonna pose his will somehow, some way. Some of them are harder than the others, but I have a feeling like he's gonna fight Charles Oliveira and he's gonna do well. And then I also I see him posting about Nate Diaz, and he put like Nathan question mark, and I'm like, this guy don't even care about the belt anymore. He had a taste of the interim. I'm sure he probably wants the real one. Everybody wants the real one, but he's like, man, he says, the fact that he's calling out other people that aren't the champ goes to show that like he's just looking for good fights, and I don't blame him. I really don't. But I definitely would like to see him against Charles Oliveira and just like solidify him as a true champion, because I think he deserves that. I think he's like the uncrowned champ, almost like Max Holloway. Like in my head, Max Holloway's the uncrowned champ.
100%.
So that's my personal opinion. No hate on Volkanovski or Oliveira. That's my personal opinion. And Oliveira's been looking really, really good too. But Michael Chandler got a piece of him, and I'm surprised that he made it through that first round. And it's a fight game; anything can happen. So I think Poirier's had enough time in the cage, and he's just on that level right now to where he's indestructible.
Absolutely. Well,
I'm a fan.
Well, Steve, I just want to say thank you for taking your time to come on the podcast. I apologize, everything kind of got all mixed up, but I appreciate you taking your time to come on. And good luck with your fight with Charlie Ontiveros, and good luck cornering on Sunday with your fighter. And and take care. And we'll have you back on soon. Okay.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Same here. Always a pleasure.